Hello, I'm Matthew Keeley, and this is chapter 1 from my novel, The Stone in My Pocket. August 1999. At first, I thought it was the cat. Sometimes Freya would be out there in the garden at night yowling to come in or chattering at birds she couldn't catch. Or if it wasn't her, maybe a fox. I'd heard them howling like babies in the dark a few times. Then it wailed again. No, not a wail, duller than that. A moan. That's when sickness lurched in my stomach. The same kind of plummet when you realise you've been caught lying again or your parents ask you a question you don't want to answer. I knew the noise wasn't Freya or a fox or any animal. It was coming from a person, a voice. I wouldn't have heard it if my bedroom window hadn't been open. I only did that in summer. The TV that I wasn't supposed to be watching this late was already turned down low, but I clicked the mute button, amplifying the groaning voice seeping into the room. Then I turned the lamp off to get rid of my gormless reflection in the window and let me see out there. But the blue-white light from the TV still danced against the walls and glowed on the glass. The voice snuffled to a stop. They, whoever they were, must have spotted the lamp turning off, must have seen me. The bushy edge of a moonlit conifer shuffled in a sudden breeze, and I pictured a man out there, someone drunk or homeless, hiding in the dark, trying to break in and rob us. I've no idea why I thought of that. Weird what fear conjures. I crouched by the open window. The voice was there again, gulping in juddered breaths like something wounded. Clouds drifted and the moon bathed the garden in grey-blue sheen. But it was empty. No cat roaming under the bushes, no fox rummaging in the wheelie bin. The old rusted swing chains weren't even squeaking in the wind. But I still felt eyes prodding at me from some secret place. I'd learned the sensation years ago. Shivering, I swallowed and poked my head out into the air that now felt too cold for August. I peered down to see if someone was standing right beneath me, pressed against the wall, but there was nothing except blank concrete slabs, and the moaning had stopped. I ducked back in and yanked the window closed like I'd just flung a spider from a glass. Most other people might have shouted for their parents or rushed to the room to tell them, but there was no point telling my mum and dad. They wouldn't believe me. Stopped listening to my nonsense years ago. Back to bed, Nathan, it'd be. They'd tell me the noise was only Freya, or maybe something a little more cliched about it being the wind or the old houses just creaked at night. That's usually a stupid explanation for things like this in books and films. I turned to the muted TV to see Mulder and Scully scarper with torches around a dark building chasing some black creature. Not helping. My mum had caught me in the middle of an episode one night last year and banned it. It'll cause more nightmares, Nathan. What other 17-year-old still had their parents telling them what they weren't allowed to watch? I switched the TV off and clambered onto the bed, feeling like poison was swelling in my guts. Every few seconds I turned to the window thinking I could hear it again, but the voice was just an echo in my head by then. I never can sleep early on a Sunday night, especially not before the start of a new school term, but now the idea of tucking myself into bed and drifting off was a joke. I pulled my knees towards my chin and checked my watch. Almost midnight. I flicked the switch on my lamp and lifted the book from the bedside table, pulling my bookmark out from the middle of Mysteries Unsolved, Beasts and Aliens. I'd had most of the Mysteries Unsolved series for years, but I only used to look at the pictures and read the captions under the weirdest ones. I glanced down at a page with a printed photograph of a blurry, dark human shape between tree trunks. Was that what was out there, calling for me to listen? I looked to the window, then closed the book again, shoving it back to the table. My mum had probably been right about the nightmares. It had been months since she'd shaken me awake in darkness. I didn't want that to start again. My final plan was to scuttle to the chair at my desk and turn on the little spotlight lamp above my model, the Empire State Building. Finishing the silver paint on the needle helped me forget what I'd heard, for a while at least. The last time I remembered seeing on the clock was 2:58. I woke myself up, my feet squirming like thrashing fish outside the rumpled covers. I didn't remember climbing into bed or turning the lights out, and I'd fallen asleep on my back, which I never did. When I pushed myself up onto my forearms, I saw it. Her. Him. The shadowed figure standing in my doorway.